Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever Shorty, and I'm doing something I usually wouldn't do, which is going back and kind of reviewing something which is a restart of a series, and I usually do not like doing that. I usually avoid the hell out of it because it feels like I'm just going to go over all ground, and it's something which like the big publishers are so guilty of, and I find just boring to talk about. This particular case is Die, Loaded, and I promise I'm not just reviewing it so I can avoid reviewing 1776. I promise there's other reasons for it, although I'm really trying hard not to review it. I mean, I'm seriously considering reviewing the Predator Badlands preview comic instead of reviewing 17. Okay, story for another time. Right, so Die, genuinely one of my all-time favourite comic books. Probably comes down a lot to the fact that I genuinely do love role-playing kind of stuff. I have been a top role player for many, many years. Comic books that deal with that kind of thing are always going to get my attention, and it does such a good job of it. Like, I love it. I've got every issue. I've got a whole bunch of them signed. I seriously back the Kickstarter and have the deluxe edition with the dice and the dice tray and the GM. Like, I kid you not, I've gone crazy on this comic book. I absolutely adore it. So when they announced they're doing a follow-up, I was like, oh man, do I talk about it? Do I worry about it? It's like it's already out there. But then I read it because, well, I'm going to Thought Bubble in a couple of days. It means I get to actually hang out and see Kieran Gillen, and Stevie Hans is there as well, which is fantastic. And I think it's worth being up on what he's doing, or what they're doing, should I say, so I can actually, hold a conversation with either of them. But then I read it and it was like, damn, this actually is worth talking about, because early on in the week, I did review something which reminded me of it, because it does that thing of talking about what it's like for that person who gets magically transported away to a mystical world, and what the fallout from that is. Now, Die, very quickly after that fallout kind of thing, had them back into the fantasy world, and that's where most of the story took place. Die Loaded starts them having got out again, but no real spoilers here. By the end of the issue, we are back into the fantasy world of Die again. Now, we do spend a fair bit of time in the real world, and there is some gorgeous writing there, which is brilliant. It's talking about what it's like for shared trauma, how easy it is for people once they've passed to be seen of in a slightly better light, the fact that not everyone's going to think that way. There is wonderful, starting discussions on character development, which was kind of left on hold because of the events at the end of the original Die book, but then still not quite having the chance to resolve in the real world either. It basically sets up the exact kind of thing I was talking about that I absolutely love when I was reviewing No Place, like Home. But because it's jumped back into the fantasy world, I did feel a little bit like, well, is it just going to do this thing again where it's obviously telling the story, which is about the most important, most exciting that's happened to these characters. But just because I want something doesn't mean any comic book creator or any artistic creator has to do that for me. Nobody owes me anything. I'm going to read it because I really like it. But I will say, this one feels like it's going to have the opportunity to do that a little bit more. And I can't really spoil why. I'm going to leave this for, go read the comic, you'll understand why. But there's some wonderful moments in the final act of issue 1, which make me think that, yeah, we are going to get fantastical story of this wonderful, harrowing horror fantasy, but not all horror, not all hell world that Gillen and Hans have created, but we're going to get the chance to actually look into what it means for the people who were left behind when these people went there the first time, and what it's like to come back into that world. Genuinely think Kieran Gillen, in terms of writing stories about stories, is one of the best out there. This is exactly that kind of thing. It is 100% what I wanted when I originally picked up Die, and is exactly what I wanted now picking up Die Loaded. Also, the fact that Stephanie Hans is back on doing the artwork, it's just brilliant. I understand, the style is not one that lends itself to quickly putting stuff out month by month. I mean, there's entire discussions to be had about how artistry can be sacrificed for the grind of comic books. But in this case, I feel like Hans has proven she's got it. With occasional little breaks, so other people can come in and do some little guest slots and give chance to recharge and get caught back up again. It does mean we're going to get fairly consistently amazing artwork throughout. And when I say amazing, I mean it's lusciously hand done, and I try not to think about it too much in terms of how it would work on screen, but there's moments where I know that if I was watching this with my girlfriend at home, I'd be totally annoying her talking about how amazing the photography is, because just the layout of each panel is brilliantly done. Yes, the panel layout itself is good, but how the actual scene is laid out to exemplify depth of the colour and the shading, and put the characters exactly where they need to be to get the most out of the colour and the lighting. And just sometimes the focus being elsewhere and letting your eye drift over things. Just masterful control of the form. Honestly, I'm not going to put this on my best of the year list because one of my rules is I don't do stuff when it's like going back to revisiting something else. But if I was going to break that rule, I'd probably break it for this, and we're only one issue in. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.